So therefore, Prabhupada was successful as a leader because he had 5 qualities. He was humble, he was enthusiastic, he appreciated all devotees. So Shyamsundar Prabhu says, he came to Prabhupada and he was very discouraged because due to some reasons he had to go to the jail. Prabhupada said, don't worry, Krishna was born in jail. Rather than judging him, he said like that. And Prabhupada said, you chant, you'll be released in some time. He was released. Then Prabhupada gave him responsibility of establishing temple in London, in India. And Shyamsundar Prabhu was he was the one who actually organized the Cross Maidan program in 1971. And he was going around, in Kalbadevi market driving as part of his planning and organizing. And he was driving in India for the first time. He had no previous experience. So here you need little more than driving skills. You need some divine help also. So as he was driving, suddenly someone jumped in front of the car, he got hit, he fell on the ground. A crowd surrounded the vehicle, they were looking inside. He took up his bead bag and started chanting. He was afraid what the crowd will do. The crowd caught hold of the man who was hit and fell on the ground. They picked him up, started beating him. So Shyamsundar Prabhu got bewildered. Well, I made the mistake, why are they beating him? Then he thought maybe in India they begin from there. Next will be me. Then after some time the crowd moved aside and said, go ahead. He said, but it was my mistake. Why did you beat him? They said, you are Krishna's devotee. How dare he disturb Krishna's devotee? So, because Prabhupada empowered him, he did not see his faults. Prabhupada saw what is his potential. And because of that, the Cross Maidan program, in that Cross Maidan program, 2 people connected amongst others. One was His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj, other was His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So, because of, and Prabhupada was standing at the steps of Bharati Vidya Bhavan and told Shyamsundar Prabhu, pointing in this direction, in this lane, 7K Munshi Marg. In future, we should have an ISKCON temple in this lane. And that's how now we have Shri Radha Gopinath ji standing here plain in front of you. So Prabhupada was humble, he was enthusiastic, he appreciated all. 4th, he recognized excellence. He recognized and reciprocated with excellence. And 5th is he gave creative freedom. And it was not that while giving freedom, he was looking for somebody who's perfect. And then he would give them some freedom. One disciple was putting stamps on envelope. And while putting stamps on the envelope, he was putting the stamp on his saliva. He was putting the saliva and then putting. So Prabhupada said, hey, what is this? This is unclean, this is dirty, this is not the way. You keep a bowl of water and use the water, not your saliva. So he brought a bowl of water, started doing. Prabhupada went. And then he kept on putting the stamps. After some time, the water got over. Only 1 stamp remained. He thought, the tap is in the other room. I have to get up, go, and just for 1 stamp. I have already done all the other stamps with water. 1 last stamp remained. Nobody is in the room. Prabhupada is also busy somewhere. So I have my old technique. So he looked left, he looked right, took out his tongue and placed the stamp. The door opened and Prabhupada was standing there. And he said, I told you not to do this. So Prabhupada said, sometimes you have to shed millions of gallons of blood before you can see transformation. So we should not expect perfectly healthy people to be in hospital. In hospital, you only have patients who are diseased. They are struggling with their disease. So when people come to a temple or a satsang, they are patients getting admitted in the spiritual hospital to get transformed from all of their internal diseases of greed, pride, lust, envy, anger. So we have to deal with them with sensitivity. If a patient vomits in a hospital, the doctor doesn't slap him. Ganda kar diya. The doctor deals with sensitivity. Doctor knows he's sick. So we have to deal with each other accordingly. But we should have the conviction that instead of someone bleeding on the road, at least they have come to the hospital. They have admitted in the right place. The treatment has begun. It is only a matter of time before the transformation will happen. So therefore, each one of you who's sitting here, you begin the process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, start following the regulative principles of no eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Start performing some meaningful service and start sharing this message with others. Within 1 year's time, your whole personality and your character and your internal experience will transform to such an extent that you will not recognize who you were 1 year before, that is today. And you will be situated on the path to saintliness and godliness. This is guaranteed. Next question?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Please give the mic there. Yeah.
Whoever has the mic.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for such a wonderful session. Prabhuji, my question was, despite of all the knowledge, it's my practical experience, in difficult situation we forget all that knowledge and act in a bad way. So how to remember that knowledge we have cultivated from devotees to act in that only way that devotees have taught us in difficult situation?
Unless the difficulties are there, how will you improve? Right? So when such difficult situations come, you should remember the devotees who have taught you this and experience that gratitude. So that's a very important principle, that if I try to deviate, then that deviation will only put you in more anxiety. So therefore, it is always good to have friends with whom you can share your heart. So it is said, what are the chances for a speck of dust? When the speck of dust comes in contact with water, that speck of dust becomes mud. When that speck of dust comes in contact with air, the gust of air can pick up that, small speck of dust, and that dust can sit on the crown of Krishna's forehead. But is it the qualification of the speck of dust? It is the association. Similarly, what are the chances for a small insect to come and kiss Krishna's chest? But when that insect takes shelter of a flower, that flower is plucked by the gardener, made into a garland by the pujari, and when the garland is offered to Krishna,